Hello everybody, it's George from ShopTo here, and today I have my comparison of the new 2DS XL versus the regular new 3DS not XL. So yeah, unfortunately I don't have the new 3DS XL, so I can't compare it exactly like size-wise, but I compare these two. I can compare these two, and I thought I would because I think it'd make a pretty interesting video. So we're gonna go for external comparisons, and then I might do a speed test on like how fast it boots up software and stuff, because I'm pretty sure they should have the same internals, but obviously this has got a bigger screen, so it's having to push and upscale the game a little bit more, but we'll find out exactly how that goes down later on in the video. So from the outside then, we will start from the top. On the top, on the new 3DS, you can actually see that the cameras are both here. I believe by the way, the new 3DS XL is pretty similar to the new 3DS, but apart from that it's got not got changeable faceplates like the new 3DS does. It's all a bit confusing. There's just so many news and so many 3DS and 2DS names. It's hard to keep up. But anyway, so yeah, from the outside, the new 3DS does look a little bit more premium than the new 2DS, but obviously it's a different kind of target market, really. We've got the indicator button on the hinge here. Obviously, we've got nothing on the hinge bar the camera microphone in the middle there. Nothing on this side, and obviously there's no hinge on there. But yeah, so the only difference really is the changeable faceplates and that the cameras are on the front, like the top of the clam on the 3DS, whereas the 2DS, they're on the back, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So moving down to the front, I can actually hold both of these so you can see both of them. You can see that there's kind of a lot more going on the new 3DS rather than the 2DS XL below. Just purely because it's not got that like hinge flap with everything in it, which the 2DS does, which is, in my opinion, a little bit nicer. It keeps everything more hidden and, you know, it looks more clean from the front. I do actually have a DS game, Pokemon Platinum, in there right now, but if we slot, I have a 3DS game in here. If I slot that in there, it will look a little bit better because it's the same kind of color. So yeah, there you go. That looks a little bit better and a little bit less weird. But as terms as like the front goes, they are pretty similar. We've got the headphone jack pretty much in the same spot on each system. Obviously the flap for the micro SD card and game slot kind of sticks out a little bit more, so it's moved a little bit more to the right. I kind of like what they've done here on the 2DS, because you've got the stylus and the headphone port like literally right next to each other, and that looks a lot better than having them kind of spaced out like here on the 3DS. But I will show you the two styluses because they are different sizes, which is kind of interesting. If I pull that out, you can see the white one is the 3DS stylus and the black one is the 2DS stylus. I feel like the 3DS stylus is even shorter than what they used to be. I'm pretty sure it used to be a lot longer than that as well. But yeah, you can see that it is slightly shorter, but it's also thicker, so I guess it's going to be a little bit more durable. I don't know how easy to bend that is. Oh, you can bend it, but this, you really can't bend that. So yeah, this stylus will be a little bit more durable than the other one. And obviously this has the hook on it for unhooking the panel for the interchangeable faceplates. And I don't, can you do it? This is a big test. This is a big moment. Can you do it with this one? Oh, you can indeed. Oh, if anyone was interested in that, if they'd want to use this stylus with that 3DS, then you can. I can confirm. Possibly the first person in the world to release that news, which probably nobody cares about. But yeah, other than the left-hand side, the right-hand side's very similar. You've got all three indicator lights there, and you've got the same on here. They're just there, and the power buttons is roughly in the same sort of space as well. If you put them end to end, it's pretty much the same spacing there. So from the front, I guess the 2DS wins. I think it looks a little bit cleaner than the 3DS, but you know, it's down to personal preference. And here is something I want to mention, that the 3DS does not have a closed clam. There is actually gaps in there, which is very interesting because the 2DS does. I'm not sure if they're any thicker than each other. If anything, the 3DS is thicker than the 2DS. So I'm not exactly sure why they couldn't do the same thing with the 3DS as they did with the 2DS. So yeah, the 3DS may be very slightly thicker, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, no closed clam on the 3DS, but there is a closed clam on the 2DS. So yeah, moving on to the back of the systems, as I knock them into each other, good job. We have literally nothing on the 3DS. It's just got some rubber feet there, which I guess is alright if you put it down like that. Don't really know why they're there, if I'm honest. And you've got the screws for the removable back plate, which is also interchangeable. I think I've already got these unscrewed, so I could take it off and show you something else in a second. Can I do that? Yes, I can. Okay, so excuse me a second while I unclip the back plate. So that's off now. But yeah, you got the cameras on the back of the 2DS, whereas they're on, as I said, the front of the 3DS. So yeah, I don't really know how much of a difference that would make. Possibly being on the front would be a little bit more advantageous, but I'm sure you'd probably be fine with using them on the back like that. And another thing to note is this is where you actually put the micro SD card in the 3DS. Rather than actually in that little slot on the front on the 2DS. So I've still got the 4GB one in there. And also that's where the battery goes. It's kind of cool to see where the stylus slots in. There's just this nice huge gap in here for the stylus to slot in, if I can actually manage that. I can. But yeah, so that's where the SD card slot goes on the 3DS, whereas it goes in the flap at the front down here on the 2DS. So obviously that's a lot more convenient if you need to change it, because you have to unscrew this back plate, but luckily I didn't have it screwed in. So yeah, moving on to the sides now. Obviously there's going to be a few extra bits on here that you won't have on the 2DS because it's got the 3D capabilities, but you have the volume slider on the left hand side of the 3DS here, which is nice and easy to use. I believe this is actually the volume. Yeah, the volume for the 3DS. I kind of like that actually. I do like that that's actually on the screen section, but it also does click when you slide it down to off. Don't know if you heard that. But yeah, so I think the 3DS probably wins there for that side, just purely because it feels a little... Oh no, that does click as well. Okay, fair enough. Well, they're probably tied. It's just down to personal opinion again. This side you have the 3D slider for the 3DS, and nothing for the 2DS, obviously, because it doesn't support 3D. And the back is kind of interesting. They've both got the charging ports on there. They've both got the black light. I think that might be an infrared sensor. I could be wrong. Infrared sensor on the back as well. And they've both got ZR and ZL. Buttons actually feel much better on the 2DS. I feel like they've kind of refined them since the 3DS. So ZR, ZL are a little bit smaller than they are on the 3DS, but they feel a lot better than they do. And you've also got the charging dock slot there for the 3DS, which I do actually have. And obviously the 3DS, the 2DS does not have that, which is kind of interesting. It wouldn't fit anyway because it's too big for the dock, but nevertheless, it would have been interesting to see if you could still use that if you cut the ends off. I don't know how that would work. But yeah, another interesting thing to note is there is this little divot in the 3DS screen, which we will come to in a minute. But yeah, the only other difference is the exposed hinge, and I must admit, I do like the 3DS for having the hinge inside. But if the hinge is not on, they're pretty much the same size in depth. Obviously the screens are bigger on the 2DS, but you can see without the hinge, with the hinge being on the outside, they're the same size, which is possibly interesting. I'm not sure. So opening them up, hopefully I can stand this without it falling over. What do you reckon? Yes, and then this one I'll just hold because I don't want to break it yet. You can see the screens are a lot bigger on the 2DS rather than the 3DS, and you can also see there's a load of smudges on the 3DS one because I'm not a very good screen looker after, if that's a technical term. But yeah, there's a lot more going on the 3DS, but we will take a look at the top screen for both. You can see we've got the camera above the top screen on the 3DS. That's obviously a more optimal position, especially because on here you cannot swivel the camera. Yeah, it's not actually on the hinge. You can see, if I focus it on it, you can actually see that when I tilt the screen, it's the outside, these two bits here that tilt. So the camera always stays in that position. So unless you're kind of keeping it looking straight at you, you're not going to be able to do a very good job with the camera, which is why I like the positioning on the 3DS one more, because you can actually tilt it with the screen. So yeah, as I mentioned, there's a lot more going on the top screen with the 3DS. As you can see me, once again, hello. So there's literally nothing on the 2DS top screen, but we have the volume slider as we showed, and the 3D slider on there. Also got the face optical tracking, whatever it is, gubbin here, which makes a world of difference for 3D with the 3DS. So yeah, that's really cool and definitely makes a difference over the original 3DS. The little nubbin you can see is actually used for the C stick. I don't know quite why. I guess it's a cutout so you can put your thumb over it and not kind of rub in the hinge so much. But I don't know, it's a nice little feature. I kind of like it. It gives it a bit of character. But yeah, top screen is pretty much it. We've got once again these little rubber things that they don't have on here because they are on the top of the screen, which you can see just here. Yeah, moving down below then, as you can see, the screen once again is a lot bigger, as I kind of show myself again. But the screen is significantly bigger on the new 2DS than it is on the 3DS. It's actually huge in comparison. So much so that the home button is moved to the left hand side rather than being like below the screen on this bulge on the 3DS. I don't actually know why there's a bulge there. I guess maybe they had to do it for size reasons, or maybe it was something to do with having the... honestly, I'm not going to try and suggest what it could be. I literally don't know why there's a bulge on the screen, but that is what makes the clam not close properly. And yeah, so literally the only difference is the moving of the home button. You've got the control pad on the left and the analog pad on the left as well. It does feel a little bit better on the 3DS. The buttons just feel a little bit softer and nicer to press on here. But maybe I'll wear them in on this 2DS and they will end up being just feeling like the same. But yeah, they're literally exactly the same. As I said, the only difference really is the screen size and the 3D stuff. Also should mention, top left, you can see there's the speaker cutout for the 3DS. Now the speaker is actually inside the new 2DS. If I turn it on, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this on the video, you probably won't, but there is literally no speaker. It literally just kind of comes out of the system. I tried listening, it sounds like it's down the bottom here, but it's really weird. It's definitely down the bottom. I can feel it vibrate when I go over something. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the comparison. I guess I could turn it on and show you screen resolution. I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference if my 3DS has any charge in it. It does. I don't know if you'll be able to tell a difference, to be honest, but I actually have a theme on the 3DS. I haven't set it up for the 2DS yet. So the 3DS is going to look a lot more swanky, as you can see. There we go. You won't be able to see the 3D, but the 3D is actually on. Let me turn it off. There you go. But yeah, if I go to the same thing, so what we're hovering over, internet browser. If I go to internet browser and see what it looks like, it does look a little bit more pixelated on the 2DS. You probably can't tell, but that is literally because the screen is bigger. Unfortunately, that's the trade-off you have to make. But yeah, the screens are still good enough. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, the resolution's too low. But yeah, so I don't actually have two 3DS games with me right now, so we're going to have to boot up test on on DS games even. So I will be right back with that. We've got them both open, ready to load up Pokemon Black and Pokemon Platinum on the 2DS. So I don't really know the best way of doing this, to be honest. So I guess I'm going to set them both up here and try to tap them both at the same time, because I've only unfortunately got one set of hands, so I can't do it very well. So if we just both hit open at the same time, we'll see what happens. Right, so 3, 2, 1. So they're both loading up the game now. What is this? That's interesting. Is that like the loading button or something? I don't know. Loading light. So, okay, Platinum's booted up quicker, but we don't know. That's probably just the game. But they both took a very similar amount of time there to actually boot up a game. I don't think there's really going to be much difference between the two, because as I said, I'm pretty sure they both have the same internals. But nevertheless, that was just a little quick test I thought I'd perform for you guys. So that about rounds it off, to be honest. Everything else is exactly the same, bar the 3D and the screen size. So what do I think so far? I'm really liking the screen size on the 2DS, and the trade-off of the resolution being dropped a little bit is not noticeable enough for me to be like, oh no, I'd rather play it on the 3DS. So I'm really liking this 2DS so far. I'm going to use it a few more times, I'm going to use it over the next few days quite a bit, and I will get back to you guys and let you know what I think with a full written thing in a week's time, because I'm going to do a week with and then the 2DS, and I'll let you know what I thought after that. So everybody, my name's been George. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Be sure to stick around for more news, reviews, etc here on ShopTo News and on the ShopTo YouTube channel. I will be back with my next 2DS video in about a week's time, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. And I will leave links down in the description for everything you need to grab yourself one of these systems, or you can get that one if you really want, but I'd get this one if I were you. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.